My name is Thomas Hart, entrepreneur, businessman, actor, singer, songwriter. I think I've done it all. So I was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to a mother named Priscilla Lee Oates, to a father named Thomas Hart. Basically, my father stepped out of my life when I was 3 years old. My mom passed away when I was 10 years old. At 9 years old, I entered DHS.
When it comes to foster care, 400,000 are in the United States, 15,000 in Pennsylvania, and 4,200 right here in Philadelphia.
I got placed into a hospital called Fairmount. I was there for about 3 months. That was my first foster family. It was something new. I loved them, but it was just and we ended up giving Ivy Williams have a heart attack and went to the hospital. So I ended up moving out, and my brother stayed. Then I moved on to, her name was Diane Walton. Everything was fine to begin with. Then she started getting physically, as she started trying to abuse me physically, mentally, emotionally, and verbally. Mostly telling me that nobody's going to come out and see me, nobody really loves me. Verbally saying that I'm not going to be nothing when I grow up. Physically, she used to choke me and punch me in my face to get me up in the morning for school because I was a hard sleeper. Better than give her permission and the right to put her, or the audacity to put her hands on me.
I was introduced to Thomas when he came to Cabrini and introduced himself to all of us, and he told us about the foster care system. For those who don't know what Act 91 is, Act 91 helps to give children benefits who have aged out of the foster system at 18. I assumed that it was helping kids rather than having these flaws that I'm now hearing about and seeing.
The flaws, they don't, I think as a foster care system, they don't educate the youth enough of the ins and outs of foster. At the end of the day, they're giving us the foster parents that's been in the system, that's been the foster parents before, and now they're adapted to how they want to do their foster care. Yeah, some foster parents that follow the foster parents like, oh, well, if you pick my check up on such day, yeah, I think I'm going to go to the casino with that check, or I'm going to do this with that. You can't advocate for yourself if you don't know what's supposed to go down or not.
After hearing Thomas's story and some of the other kids' stories, I thought very differently of the system.
And then when you're young, it's basically your word against your foster parents' word. Nobody really takes you that serious. Everybody thinks, okay, well, this child relied on their foster parents and said they did X, Y, and Z when they have great foster parents.
After hearing these stories, I'm more aware of what's going on in the system, and I feel as if I'm an advocate for these kids.
At the end of the day, nobody's going to care. Okay, well, he's going through this because he's on this medicine, he's on that medicine in life. Nobody's going to care what type of medicine you're on. You still have to pick yourself up and continue to strive forward. At 16, I started a not-for-profit mentoring program. So for my brother, for my sister, I did it with my best friend because we felt as though, okay, well, what happens to the youth that's not in DHS or that doesn't go to AIC or is not in foster care? What about those youth that's out there struggling and not being able to find themselves and not being able to advocate for themselves? So we started that business. It was successful. We went to the Boys and Girls Club and we mentored. Then I'm a mentor. I go to mentor at Yes for their YSI program. I am now acting assistant executive director for their teen outreach lounge over at Yes.
Thomas is doing quite a noble deed, since statistics show that 21.9% of children in America are poor and 9.8% live in extreme poverty as well.
Why not educate the younger ones that's in the system? Because we already been through the system, so we can't change anything, but maybe they can. Just because they're smiling on the inside, they could be tumbling, they could be breaking, and they could be dying in the inside. Being strong is knowing your rights, knowing what shouldn't happen to you during foster care. So the smile is just there as a front because they are scared and they don't know what things are going to happen, or they don't know their next step and phase in life. Sometimes kids smile just to try to see another day.